pushes him into the spot. He's still standing. And he turns him around facing us. And as soon as he looks up at Andrew, that's when the bullet goes. And he does nothing but just drop his legs, give up. His head hits the ground before his body moves.
This is the case of a 16-year-old boy named Erick Almandinger, who was being interrogated about the sudden disappearance of his friend David Grunwald. In this case, the detectives already had all the evidence that clearly proved Erick to be guilty. Watch how Erick tried to be a gangster, but becomes a prisoner instead. It all started on November 13th in 2016, when 16-year-old David Grunwald was hanging out with his girlfriend Victoria. After enjoying their day by studying together at David's house, David told his mother that he was going to drive Victoria back to her home. His mother allowed him to go, but said that he should be back home by 9. As he left Victoria, he received a phone call and came to know that a couple of his friends, including Erick, were at Erick's house. This phone call turned out to be Erick's unluckiest one. After knowing this, quickly called his mother and asked her if he could spend some time with them and return home a little late. His mother agreed, but told him to be home by 9:30. Now here's when things started to go terribly wrong. Soon it was 10 p.m., but David was not home yet. His mother got worried and texted him, but she didn't receive any reply. He didn't even answer her calls. This made her very scared, and she called Victoria to see if she had any information about him. Victoria told David's mother that he had dropped her off at 7 p.m. and she hasn't seen him since then. David's mother got really worried, and so she decided to call Erick, as David told her that he's going to Erick's house. She asked him about David, and you guys will be extremely shocked after hearing what he said. He said that he didn't have any friends at his house and hadn't seen David at all. This freaked David's mother out, and that's when things started to get really creepy. She got really worried and started to look for her son herself. After driving for hours, she didn't find him anywhere and decided to contact the police. She filed a missing persons report, and soon after that, law enforcement quickly began the investigation. David's pictures were shown on local news, and people were asked to assist in finding the missing boy. Just under 16 hours of the news being published, you guys won't believe what was discovered. Shockingly, David's Jeep was found burnt on a back dirt road in Wasilla. It was found deep in the woods and was just 20 miles away from his girlfriend Victoria's house. The police continued their investigation and soon made another gruesome discovery on December 2nd. You guys will definitely be in shock to hear what the police found this time. The police literally found David's remains in the snow, which was approximately half an hour away from his town.
Thank all of you for help looking for him and being there for me. He wasn't amazing.
David's body was quickly examined, and the cause of his death was found to be repeated head and neck trauma, along with a gunshot to his head as well. The next day, the police made a big announcement about the case and said that they have arrested a suspect who was none other than Erick Almandinger. Erick seemed pretty suspicious from the very beginning of the case. He claimed to have not seen David for weeks, which sounded pretty strange, as David used to meet his friends pretty often. He also didn't seem sad at all about the loss of his friends. However, he did claim that David stopped at his house that night, but only to drop a friend there, which does not seem to be true at all. Have a look at Erick's conversation with the officer.
Remember Erick leaving the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of myself.
Where at?
I was standing outside.
To put it bluntly.
As you can see here, Erick's reply didn't make sense at all. He seemed very suspicious throughout the conversation. Investigators knew things were fishy, and so they requested a search warrant for Erick's belongings. As soon as the request got accepted, the investigators confiscated a number of items that belonged to Erick, including his tablet. A forensic team was able to restore the tablet's GPS history to track Erick's movement on the day of the incident, and what they found literally freaked everyone out. After looking at the history, Erick's movement was observed between the site where David's Jeep was found and the place where his dead body was. Things were definitely pretty obvious now. Erick was arrested immediately and was brought to be interviewed.
Having these guys in mind. Do you wish to talk to us about your involvement in David Grunwald's disappearance?
As you can see, Erick is constantly seen avoiding his involvement with the case, and now watch how he makes up stories now.
Right? Good advice is only good if
You know we love you, so come on. What happened that night?
You got the brave idea to do.
Erick claims that David called him at 7 p.m. and got to his house as Erick told him he was partying with his friend Dominic. David got to Erick's place to join them. They smoked cannabis, and David suddenly got so excited that he smoked the entire weed stash. Erick and Dom got furious and started to beat David with a gun. They then took him into the woods and Dom shot him there to death. They then took his Jeep to a different location and burnt it there. The investigators knew Erick was lying, and after collecting multiple other pieces of evidence, Erick was pronounced guilty along with his friend Dominic and 3 others named Bradley Ranfro, Austin Barrett, and Devin Peterson. Erick and Dominic were sentenced for all their crimes for 99 years behind bars. Bradley Renfro was sentenced to 105 years, Austin Barrett to 45 years, and Devin Peterson to 6 years. Their urge to be a gangster in this case made them all pay a very heavy cost. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. If you guys liked the video, then don't forget to give it a huge thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another amazing video from us. See you guys next time.